Good evening, fight fans. This is the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. Alternative commentary for Chris Colbert versus Hector Luis Garcia, a WBA Super Featherweight Eliminator, because Robert Gutierrez got the unspecified virus of unnamed origin. And pantomiming to my on-screen left is your friend and mine from 401manias.com's MMA section and wrestling section now, and the co-host of Damn You Hollywood, Robert Winfree. How do you do, sir?
I do just about okay. Been a decent enough night of fights thus far on the boxing and MMA side, apart from a bit of highway robbery that took place in Scotland earlier.
Yeah, let's come back to that in a second. I said at the top of the show, this is Chris Colbert. He is undefeated in 16 fights. This is his 17th fight. And the winner of this, I guess he was the interim super featherweight champion there for a touch. And he was supposed to fight, as I said, Robert Gutierrez, but that fight has been pushed off. So the winner of this fight will fight him when he's well enough to do so.
In theory.
And that's where we stand now. So real quick, and then we can talk about the highway robbery that took place on ESPN today. Do you know anything about his opponent, Hector Luis Garcia?
Also undefeated, just also happens to have 3 no contests on his record, which is an extreme rarity in boxing. I'm not entirely sure how he pulled that off, but he did it. He took this fight on short notice, which is not a thing you see a whole lot of in boxing. If your fight falls out, you tend to just reschedule it. As Mark drinks from a green cup that is the same color as his screen.
I'm only drinking from invisible cups these days.
Makes sense. So he took the fight on short notice. It's a step up for him. He's taken a shot here that he might be able to stop one of the rising kind of prospects that exist in this particular weight class in the form of Colbert. So I don't know a tremendous amount about him, but I also kind of expect him to... I'm not going to say he's going to get blown out of the water. That might be a bit of an overstatement, but from what little I know of both gentlemen, I favor Colbert here pretty heavily.
Yeah, he's obviously the A side to this, and he's the expected winner. But hey, just because you expect someone to win, unless the fix is in, wink.
No, it's boxing. If you expect someone to win, they're going to win.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so the two fighters are entering the ring now. So before we do, Chris Colbert with his primetime chicken robe, which is fantastic.
And his pink hair.
Yes, sir. That is a defining characteristic of his presentation. Just real quick, Jack Catterall took on Josh Taylor for that undisputed title, and most people had it for Jack Catterall. I had it 8-4 Jack Catterall. It ended up being a split decision in favor of Josh Taylor. So Clucky, Canelo, which joke do we want to go with here?
How about, look, you want to make a joke about this? Let me make a joke for you about that scoring of that. Boxing.
Yes, it stinks.
Look, Catterall got jobbed horribly. I mean, there was one scorecard that was 117 to 111 for Josh Taylor, which is so bad. That's utterly indefensible.
Yeah.
On any conceivable level. That scorecard was mailed in beforehand, and then you can see the judge at ringside desperately scratching things out as he tries to rectify it after the points were deducted throughout a couple of different rounds.
He's like, wait a minute, this doesn't match anymore.
It's utterly ridiculous. That scorecard in particular is shameful. Absolutely shameful.
What good does it do them to job Catterall, though? I mean, I know we're kind of being facetious about it, but I mean, they were evenly matched guys. There's nothing. I mean, are you selling me on this idea that Josh Taylor is like a kind of Canelo, where he's a prized fighter and someone they want to keep the belts on for as long as possible? Because I don't think that's the case.
I think they like him more than they like Catterall. I also think he complicated issues by saying he's probably going to leave the 140-pound weight class.
Okay.
So who knows?
Yeah. But people were not happy on boxing Twitter today. That's for certain. There was a lot of outrage.
And again, deservedly so. I mean, there was only one round of all 12 where Taylor outstruck Catterall numerically.
Mm.
He was outlanded a total of by some stupid number.
I mean, I think it was like twice the punches thrown or something like that.
Right around like 50 punches differential over the course of the fight. It was a very large number. Also cut him, also dropped him.
Right.
To say nothing of the awful point deduction that was aimed at Catterall for holding, where that ref, man.
You could see the money falling out of his pocket. I don't know if you noticed that on camera. It was bloody
money.
Did you see his shirt too?
You really could.
He looked like he'd been shot. Hey, just a couple of quick things. One, if you are joining us on social media, we see you, friends. We see you on the W2M Facebook page. We see you on my History of Boxing page, and we see you on Twitch and the Radulich and Broadcasting Facebook. So welcome, one and all. We appreciate you checking out one of the many zillion live streams going on tonight, I'm sure. Who probably started this from the beginning, who've probably been going since the ESPN card started.
I imagine this one isn't getting a tremendous amount of attention.
People are here, people are watching, and we say welcome. We certainly
no. I mean, I imagine there aren't a lot of other live streams. Like, I'm sure people are here.
Maybe only a half a zillion tonight. Anyway, we have a comment section. If you're on Facebook or if you're on Twitch or YouTube, for that matter, go ahead and leave us a comment if you just want to express your outrage at the Josh Taylor score or what you scored it for. We'd be happy to address them as the fight progresses tonight. We're still doing ring introductions here. A couple of more quick hits unrelated to greetings and salutations and welcoming our guests.
Can we talk very briefly about the first fight on this card? Because good Lord.
That was quite the slobber knocker.
That was all the brain damage.
I was distracted, and then what was distracting me, I had to look away from because I'm like, oh my god! I grabbed my wife. I'm like, this man's throwing that other guy a beating, and then he lost.
It was a great fight. Great fight between. I assume you have the names up because I can never remember the Filipino gentleman's last name.
I can get it real quick. But the second fight there, the Victor Postal fight, they stopped it, and Victor
Bad
Postal,
stoppage.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, he didn't seem like, I mean, he was circling and he was getting hit, but he didn't look like he was out on his feet. I'm not entirely sure why they stopped it.
No, I did not care for the stoppage in that. I think that was a bad call by the ref.
Mm-hmm. It was Yerwin on Ancajas. How do you pronounce that?
Gerwin, I can't remember. J's or H's. I believe it was it's not Yerwin, it's Gerwin and Hakas.
Okay.
And I believe it was Hector Martinez was his opponent.
Fernando
Martinez. He's from Argentina.
Right.
Yeah, that fight, man. Every other fight in boxing has an uphill climb for fight of the year after that thing. That was
that was pretty phenomenal. All right, we are underway here in round 1 of 12 in this WBA super featherweight eliminator. And his hair is not pink tonight, it's blue.
Oh, right. It's normally pink. This is blue for autism awareness.
Sweet. All right, so Garcia, he's in the fight so far. He's standing toe-to-toe with Colbert. Both of these guys are flicking jabs out there. Good right there from Colbert.
Yeah, Colbert's got some really good hand speed. He's also got... He's awkward. He's a bit of a switch hitter. So while he opens orthodox, he will go to either stance depending on what he necessarily thinks he sees out of his opponent.
Mm-hmm.
I also expect Colbert to be a little bit more fleet of foot of the two. A little bit more given to utilizing the footwork and how that can help him win.
Right now, he's a little flat, and I'm wondering if he's staying flat to draw Garcia into a bit of a firefight so that he can evade and return fire. That he's quick enough on his feet to be able to avoid evade and counter punch. We have a question on Facebook: who won the Russell Postal fight? It was in fact Gary Antoine Russell with a 10-round TKO, and as we said, a bad stoppage. Bad stoppage.
To be clear, I think Russell was going to win anyway. I had him up on my scorecard. So just for the record, I don't think that was an attempt to save him from a deserved loss. I think he was probably going to get the decision. But yeah, not a great stoppage. Not a great stoppage by that ref.
Yeah.
You see already, Colbert doing a bit of stance switching. I'm not sure which stance he's going to prefer. He might prefer the closed stance, so that would be southpaw to southpaw, because
Garcia just landed a good left to the body.
He's been doing that a lot. Anytime Colbert goes orthodox, he's been swinging that left to the body, so I expect that'll continue. That's just something he's been looking at.
Garcia has been putting steady work in this round. I like what he's doing. He's looking for some openings on Colbert. Again, Colbert using his speed and light-footedness to move around the ring.
He's also got, again, both men have fairly fast hands. We're talking about a weight class where that's a little bit more common. We're at super featherweight here, I believe.
The friends in Facebook have some money on this fight. If if Garcia wins, they'll make some dough. So hey, here's hoping. I don't have a dog in this hunt. This isn't Tyson Fury, Dillian White. I don't really care who wins. I'm just here for the fun.
You don't care who wins between Fury and White either. Don't kid yourself.
I do have a dog in that hunt.
Mark, okay, I'm gonna make a terrible joke, and everyone's just gonna have to forgive me for this.
Mm-hmm.
But given your insistence that you want to see an undisputed 4-belt heavyweight champion in your lifetime,
yeah, Dillian White wins and then runs away with the belts. Deliberately.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Look, do you know how badly the world does not want an undisputed heavyweight champion in the 4-belt era?
We have a question here. Who's in the scorecard, Colbert or Garcia? Okay, cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Look. Yes, as much as I want to see Usyk versus Tyson Fury, and then I can go into live deliberately.
No, I'm serious about this. Do you want to know how badly the world does not want the unified heavyweight champion?
Oh, I get it.
Putin invaded Ukraine to stop it from happening.
Okay, boo. See,
I was going to make a terrible joke.
You succeeded. I have the applause clip. Now I need one of people booing.
Just need the boo this man one. That's the classic.
There you go. I'll work on that.
First round. So again, first round. Probably might edge towards Garcia, but
that was my thought. But I mean, Garcia by a hair.
Yeah, like I don't. That might even be more of a 10-10.
Garcia is turning up the aggression here. He just drove Colbert into the ropes, punching him the whole way. He is picking up the pace.
Yeah,
he's getting very aggressive this round.
I wonder if he's worried about his gas tank. If he's going to be this aggressive this soon into the fight, I wonder if he's thinking he might have. I wonder if he's trying to build either an insurmountable lead or go for a stoppage because he's concerned about his gas down the. And to be clear, he took the fight on 3 weeks' notice. Wouldn't shock me if he knows he's not in 12-round fight shape.
Right. Yeah, he might be looking to put this away early. To reiterate, we think that Garcia won the first round by a nose. All right. Right now, they're in the phone booth, man, and Colbert's covering up, but he's returning fire. It's just Garcia is all punches right now. Like, he is throwing combination after combination. He's attacking the body. And Colbert is looking for a big counter, and he's not hitting the target.
Not yet. I imagine that the volume of Garcia at the moment is kind of throwing him off. I tend to think this will start swinging towards Colbert the longer it goes. But the phone booth fighting does seem to favor Garcia at the moment.
All right, so I want to put in something that's been happening here. Garcia threw a series of right and left hooks, and Colbert blocked a lot of it and then laughed him off. Like literally, just like
Yeah, Colbert's doing a bit of the Mexican style here. He's coming in with a high guard. He's inducing a lot of action from Garcia and gambling that Garcia is going to punch himself out a little bit here. That seems to be a bit of the strategy at the moment.
They're pretty evenly matched. This has been a good back and forth fight so far in the second round.
Yeah, Colbert seems to be, again, almost kind of giving it away in order to both tire Garcia out and gain a little bit more information.
He clearly does not sweat Garcia's punching power.
At the moment, no. He's not overly concerned about it. I appreciate Garcia's body work, but he's not doing too much to trouble Colbert at the moment.
Big left hand there from Colbert as they broke away. We're in the second round, by the way, second of 12.
Yeah, Colbert's starting to find more of the holes in Garcia's defense as the round goes on. You can see his counters starting to sneak in around the guard. They're timed a little bit better.
Yeah.
I mean, prolonged phone booth fighting like this will probably favor Garcia to the extent that he's able to keep up the punch count, which remains that's going to be the big question mark for him, is does he have the gas for this?
That is the end of round 2.
Ooh. Colbert started to land at the end of that round. I might actually favor him in that round if we're talking quality of work.
Yeah, the thing of it is Garcia threw a lot of volume, but a lot of it got blocked. If you look at the replay, Garcia is punching directly into Colbert's guard. Those are coming right off the glove.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Colbert for that round. So we're gonna be 19-19 after.
In the replay that I just saw, he hit him with in all of those punches, he hit him with a clean left.
Yeah, Garcia is throwing just like buckshot and hoping that a couple of pellets land is kind of his strategy at the moment.
I mean, he hits him on the button in just the right way. This our man could make some money. So
yeah, I just hope you're not gambling anything that actually matters on it.
How am I getting to work tomorrow? Oh, I'm sorry, I bet the car. All right, round 3. And Colbert comes out just fist a flying.
Yeah, he's the one storming the battlements now.
And Garcia beat him off though. Did you see that little stutter step back like he had lost his balance?
I think it's one of the more consistent issues in Colbert from what I've seen. His footwork is not the best, and when I talk about his footwork, I mean just his foot placement. It's not uncommon for him to be caught a little bit out of position given how he attacks.
Yeah.
And what he does with his feet. So
at this point,
that's a bit more about positioning and balance than it is about power.
So I'm wondering why he's still not doing a little bit more circling, a bit more evading. He's still kind of just sitting in front of Garcia, letting Garcia expend himself, which we talked about is only going to work so well and go so far. I'd like to see him make Garcia chase him a little bit.
He might also not want to use up too much of his own legs for a 12-round fight. So it could be something like that. Yeah. The other issue is you move around to establish something to draw your opponent in. If he's not sure he can draw Garcia into anything, then what he's doing now is actually a better use of his energy than a tremendous amount of dancing. And Colbert now doing a little bit of the rope-a-dope here, like, yeah, come on and hit me.
Again, I said it before, and it bears repeating. I don't think he is at all concerned about Garcia's punting, because Garcia has planted and wailed on Colbert a couple of times over these 3 rounds so far.
Yeah.
And Colbert has just walked through it. You see them now in a firefight, and Colbert is just winging punches back at him.
Yeah, Garcia's going to have to land something that Colbert doesn't see coming if he wants to hurt him. I think anything that he can see and brace for, the punching power of Garcia in and of itself is not going to be the biggest problem. It's going to have to be well-timed, well-placed, and again, catch Colbert by surprise.
Good shot to the body there from Colbert made Garcia question his life choices.
Yeah, Colbert has been doing that a little bit backwards this fight. He's been doing a lot of upstairs work to set up the body more than vice versa, which is fine. Again, you can do that either way as long as it's effective.
We are in the last 30 seconds of round 3.
And Colbert is starting to kind of have his way with this fight. I mean, Garcia's in it and he's game, and I applaud his gameness. But this is rapidly getting away from him. The jab of Colbert's giving him problems.
All right, that is the end of round 3. And I think Colbert won that one pretty
handily, yeah.
Yep.
So at the moment, 29-28 Colbert. I should get something. I'm going to bring up a notepad here just so I can keep track and not have to do math.
So they're showing the current champion at 130 pounds, and Shakur Stevenson's the WBO champion. We covered that fight earlier, late last year. Oscar Valdez is the WBC champion, and we will be covering that fight, Dan Lasby and I, when I think it's at Madison Square Garden, as I remember correctly.
Which fight?
End of April. Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez.
Probably.
Yeah. That's an ESPN Plus fight, and that is Saturday, April 30th. So presumably, I will be covering that one with Dan Lasby.
Why did I think we were at 140? Oh, I know, because we were talking about. Because we got talking about the Josh Taylor fight, and he fights at 140. He was leaving at 130 tonight. My apologies. Yeah,
we are
130 is not bad.
We are beginning round 4 here.
130 is a pretty good weight class.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Shakur Stevenson fight. I think that'll be a good one. I know he's not your favorite fighter, but I like.
He's one of the more. He's a very gifted technician.
Yes,
especially
sure.
defensively. You've also got Ogawa out there who can throw a serious monkey wrench into everything. He's a guy that's getting overlooked by a lot of people. And I'm not saying I'd pick him to beat Shakur Stevenson, but I think that would be a closer fight than most people would think.
All right. As we get into round 4 here, Garcia still trying to land that right hook to not much avail.
No,
they're tied up against the ropes right now.
Yeah, Garcia started to overswing his punches. Some of that is Colbert's defense coming up, so he's able to read them and move, so then he looks like he's overswinging. And some of it is he's getting a little bit desperate and is starting to really swing his punches.
So one of the deficits in Garcia's attack so far is he is unable to get Colbert to drop his defenses. So again, he's throwing a lot, but everything lands on the shoulders or on the gloves. He's not landing a lot of clean punches, and Colbert is, and that's the difference.
Yeah, one of the ways you can try to get a guy's guard down when he's doing that, I mean, there's a few ways. Some of them are a little bit dirtier than others, but that doesn't mean you can't get away with them. If you can hit someone's glove. So I'm going to go visual for this, so I apologize to the audio-only contingent here, but if your hands are up, traditional kind of guard, you can kind of do almost a hammer fist to the glove. So if I'm here and I can kind of hammer fist this down, I can bring the guard down and open up a punch. If you're a little bit dirtier, you can do that with more of a grab and pull rather than a smack. And really the way to go about it is body work. Because if you get them up here, go to the
and he's fighting in almost reverse because he keeps headhunting but then never attacks the body, which is ridiculous because if you're going to go after the head, you want to get that high guard up so that way you can get a clean shot in the body and maybe get yourself a body shot knockdown. And he's not doing any of that.
Garcia's body work, he's been trying it on occasion, but it's almost perfunctory. It's like he gets to the end of a combination or whatnot, and he's drilled that I end this with a body shot, but he's not really committing to it or trying to use it in any sort of meaningful way.
No, there's no mustard on it. It's as you said, it's perfunctory. It's part of
that. Said,
it's part of the combination drill.
When they actually clinch up, Garcia seems to be doing okay though. He might have an edge in pure physical strength.
Saw some red there on Garcia. I'm wondering if he's cut.
That are being marked up. I mean, this round has been a lot more fighting in the clinch and in closer proximity. So you're going to get the heads rubbing together a little bit more often, and you could easily just get some abrasions going that way.
So in part of the replay there, they show the low blow there from Colbert, which they were just both kind of hunched over.
They've both gone below the belt a couple of times. It was a fair call by the ref to warn him for it. So better round for Garcia there, all things considered. More, again, if we're talking pure quality of punch, it goes to Colbert. But there was enough quantity from Garcia to maybe offset that a little bit. So we could be 38-38.
So just as we go through the fight, I will tell you what more else we're doing in between rounds. Next Friday, after you're done seeing the Batman, come check us out on ESPN. We'll be covering the Jose Pedraza fight. That'll be myself and Dan Lansby. And then if you like the written word, Robert will be covering the next UFC pay-per-view, which is our man Colby Covington versus the BMF himself, Jorge Masvidal. And if you like the audio format, myself and Dan Lasby will be covering it over here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. So 2 good fights coming up this weekend as we get into round 5.
The co-main event for that UFC pay-per-view also, is the fight between Rafael dos Anjos and Rafael Fiziev. There can only be one Rafael, apparently. Which was supposed to be the main event of not tonight's card, but the card last week that wound up being headlined by Jamal Hill and Johnny Walker. It's a darn good lightweight fight. Rafael Fiziev is coming on, and Rafael dos Anjos is still a stern test for anybody at 155.
We are 1 minute down in round 5 here.
As we see Colbert getting back to work here a little bit more, fighting a bit more at distance. He's starting to snipe a bit more effectively. So that's working in his favor.
The demeanor in his face has changed. He's not kind of brattily sticking his tongue out at Garcia. He is looking. He is considering his options as he throws combinations. He is looking for a way in. He is not necessarily taking Garcia more seriously, but now he seems more focused.
His defense is also becoming a bit more of a problem for Garcia. More accurately, I suppose, Garcia's lack of defense is kind of letting Colbert pull away. Because pretty much any time Colbert really commits to throwing, he's landing a good chunk of what he's throwing. And it's becoming a real issue for Garcia, who's struggling to reliably find the target.
Yeah.
Garcia's kind of relying on volume to overwhelm Colbert and maybe confuse the judges about what's going on.
Well, judges are easily confused, and it's entirely possible that he might be winning more rounds than not because the judges are scoring on punches that touch the body and aren't actually landing in the traditional sense.
Colbert, we're starting to see show a little bit more of the razzle-dazzle here. He's starting to do the combinations and then pivot, which is something you do once you really start getting a feel for your opponent, when you can start pivoting and dancing around them like that. He's not consistently fleet of foot, but when he decides to commit to it, he's clearly moving around Garcia.
They're against the ropes. Garcia went jackhammer on Chris Colbert, and Chris Colbert just blocked it all, laughed him off, and hit him back.
Yeah,
and that almost screams of desperation from Garcia. To your point, you were talking about like he might be trying to get by with overwhelming volume and not quality. And that last sequence there, he unloaded on Colbert, but there was not a tremendous amount of affected landed punches.
No, not much. And again, I do wonder the degree to which he's concerned about his gas tank a little bit. And again, taking a 12-round fight on 3 weeks' notice, not going to blame the guy, but
infamously, Chris Weidman, who had to fill in as a late call replacement, that night ate a scoop of peanut butter for dinner. I'll never forget that story.
That's certainly a story. The problem with what Colbert's doing is he is leaving a fair amount of faith in the hands of the judges. Frankly, you could argue that Garcia took that last round too.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I mean, Colbert's corner is telling him you need to stay off the ropes, quit giving him excuses.
Yeah.
I'm going to lean towards Garcia for that one. So 48-47 Garcia after 5 on my scorecard.
We're 20 seconds into round 6 here, and we're seeing. Okay, now we're starting to see Chris Colbert move around the ring a bit.
Yeah, he's getting more mobile. I don't know if his game plan was a little bit of letting Garcia kind of wear himself out just a touch in the first half. Well, we're now at the halfway point, but you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's gonna up the cardio output that Garcia is gonna have to use.
Which is smart because again, Garcia even at half speed for Colbert was having a hard time catching him.
Yeah. And especially if Colbert's able to start getting his jab going as he's circling, that's going to be a real problem for Garcia. Especially since Garcia tends to come in with a bit of the kind of the stonewall, the Philly shell, that lead hand low. And if you're able to jab effectively into that defensive posture, it can be a real asset, either baiting out counters or just kind of keeping him at distance.
Starting to think that there's some frustration setting in for Garcia.
One would imagine he's thrown the kitchen sink at this guy and hasn't really been able to make him say boo.
Yeah. See, right now, Colbert's
And
just in the corner and making Garcia miss him.
And landing good counters. Again, his jab has started to coming alive. And Garcia, again, you can tell the frustration's building. There's a couple of times he's done the Michael Myers thing this round. Hands down, walk forward, a bit squared up.
Yeah.
He's running out of ideas pretty rapidly.
Look at that body movement from Chris Colbert. You see the way he moved his torso to evade the punches?
He's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a reason it's not just his self-promotion and the attitude.
Mm-hmm.
He's really good. There's a reason people are getting behind this guy. That said, I agree with his corner in the sense that you do need to get on the offense a little bit more. I mean,
we might need to hit the gas a bit.
You might feel perfectly safe here, covering up and then slipping as Garcia tries to unload on you. And that's all fine and dandy, but we're halfway through a fight, and you might be down on the scorecards. So how about we kind of make this a little bit more emphatic?
So I hate to repeat myself as we do these things, but we're seeing a lot of more of the same here from Garcia. Garcia punching into Colbert's gloves, getting frustrated with himself, and then the round's over.
Garcia did land a pretty good left there around the 20-second mark. And Colbert, anytime Colbert actually gets hit, he decides to fire back, but he needs to be more consistent with his offense. I mean, he's got most of the talent. I shouldn't say all the talent in the world, but he's clearly got the ability. But there's some decision making going on here that I'm not sure I fully understand. I mean, that said, I think he won the round, so we'd be 57-57 at this point. For 6. Yeah.
Okay.
At least on my card, for whatever that's worth. I mean, we see here Garcia landing some combinations as they break out of the pocket on the replay.
The week after next, no boxing coverage for a week. I will be working when the one card is during the day, and then I'm not doing anything at night. Though there is a UFC fight, Santos and will be cover.
No. You have to actually make an attempt to say that gentleman's last name.
Ankalaev.
There you go.
There it is. However,
that's a pretty relevant fight for light heavyweight, actually, in the MMA space. Ankalaev's a guy that a lot of us have kind of looked at and said is a future player in that title division, in that title picture. And if he beats up on Thiago Santos, who annoys me for a variety of reasons, I'm not going to complain.
Did you see they announced the heaviest fight in the history of boxing, Thor versus Eddie? They announced the date for it and everything else. I'm just waiting to see what platform it's going to be offered on.
Well, considering that Triller seems to have lost somewhere in the neighborhood of $800 million since its inception, I'm going to guess not there.
All right. So we have a question of who's winning. And on Steve Farhad's scorecard, we have Garcia 59, Colbert 55. You had it 57-57.
I'm 57 all. That said, I can see where Farhad would get that again. Colbert has not done himself any favors with some of his decision making, just letting Garcia kind of wail on him. And even though it's not landing all that consistently, it still looks bad.
Well, now we're past the halfway mark. At this point,
and Colbert seems
if whatever his strategy was in terms of kind of sitting in front of Garcia and daring him to hit him, he needs to now change it.
Yeah, for some reason, Farhad is only given Colbert the third, which I don't agree with at all.
And we have a knockdown. Who's winning? Currently, Garcia.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
Again, he looks disheartened, man.
Well, one of the things we kind of mentioned was that Colbert's feet aren't always in proper position.
Right. So
you could see that play into that. I mean, it's a legitimate knockdown. This is not me trying to cast aspersions on
right, that. But he might have been able to brace for better impact had his feet been under him completely, because it looked like he got hit and then got off balance and fell backwards.
And look, that's why your stance is there. It's there to catch you when you get hit because you're in good. Yeah, he just was coming in a bit too aggressive. His feet weren't where they were supposed to be.
Okay, so
again, perfectly legitimate knockdown. Let me be clear.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that Colbert got legitimately shook because now he's trying to suplex Garcia.
Oh yeah, again, that was a legitimate knockdown. Again, if his feet are under him, maybe he doesn't go down, but he got hit clean.
Mm-hmm.
And Garcia is coming after this now, man.
Oh yeah, and he wants to finish it. This is now the third go that he's had at Colbert where he's just started wailing on him.
Yeah, he is just swinging for the fences. I mean, and yeah. Look, you want to know who's winning the fight? Well, I can tell you who's losing. The first guy to go for a double leg, and Colbert went for the double leg.
Did you see him stumble bumble across the ropes?
Yeah,
his legs are not under him.
No, they are not. Garcia has him in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, no, look at his eyes. They say no sale.
Yeah, that punch, man, it may have broken his spirit. I'd almost say
straight left hook right on the button. And yeah, no, he stumbled back and then lost his balance. Here it is again. Boom. Yeah, right in the jaw. And he saw stars and went down.
Yeah, that if you want an example of how that type of punch can be absorbed more safely, you still get knocked down, but you absorb it more safely. The one knockdown that Jorge Linares got on Vasily Lomachenko came off of a similar kind of setup. You had Lomachenko coming in on an angle that he just was a little bit lackluster about, and Linares just caught him and knocked him backwards. He still went down, but his feet were enough under him that he didn't take all of the punch when he's essentially half in the air jumping.
Right.
So after that, we are now, I would be on my scorecard 67-65.
I mean, unless Colbert turns it around, he's comfortably ahead Garcia. We might see an upset here, and my man's about to get paid.
Garcia, Colbert's probably going to need a finish at this point. Again, I've been probably about as generous with my rounds as anyone could be.
Yeah, Steve Farhard's got it 69-63 Garcia. Oh, big right hand there from Garcia, and Garcia so Garcia unloads on Colbert, but again, there's no opening for him to unload like that. So again, he unloads into Colbert's gloves.
Yeah, he's not been all that judicious with his punch selection or his targeting. And he's kind of gotten away with it by virtue of some of Colbert's eccentricities, idiosyncrasies.
Mm-hmm. I wish he would switch it up and start going for the body a little bit more. We are currently
he could do some good work.
We are currently around 8 of 12.
And Colbert, when Colbert throws back at him, when they start throwing together, he gets into a little bit of trouble. Garcia started to find his chin when he induces Colbert to try and counter him. And yeah, Colbert's legs at least seem under him again. He's moving a little bit better. He's not stumbling around the ring.
I think he's got OnlyFans written on his shorts. Yes, he does. Hot damn.
You didn't notice that?
I'm just now noticing that he's sponsored by OnlyFans. God, I love boxing.
Or he has one.
Either way. Hey, sometimes you got to sell pictures of your feet to make rent. You know the deal.
No, I don't actually, but I'll take your word for it.
Moving on. So
Garcia is just he's just chopping away at this fight, man. And sometimes the axe is a little bit dull and he's not quite getting through the trunk of the tree, but he just will not be deterred as far as swinging. He is just still going away at it.
So we have a betting question here for you. I'm actually going to put this one up on the board.
All right.
They want to know a plus 10 odd, 110 odds on the fight goes the distance. Should he take it?
Oh, plus 110?
Yeah.
On it going the distance, and we're at the 8th round?
To answer the next question that we have here, who's got the advantage in the score? It's Garcia by a leg.
Garcia. Yeah, Garcia
by a fair margin.
Garcia should have a pretty serious edge in the scoring. If you can get plus money when we reach the 8th round on it going the distance, it's probably a decent bet. I mean, again, I wouldn't bet money that has to go to something that matters, but if you've got money to throw around, yeah, Garcia's started pivoting around Colbert at this point. And again, that's kind of a tell about who's got a better feel for what's going on. Colbert's swinging in the clinch, though.
Colbert needs to switch his game plan up going forward, and At this point, now he needs to use his speed.
He probably needs a knockout.
Well, he definitely needs a knockout, but that's what I'm saying. Like, he now needs to use his speed to beat Garcia to the punch. He needs to be moving enough to find angles, to find clear shots on Garcia. And I bet he will, because Garcia, while he doesn't look totally gassed, I mean, he looks tired. And as he would be.
He is definitely the more fatigued party, and part of that is his activity rate. The man's, like I said, he's been swinging that axe all fight. Part of the other problem that Colbert ran into there, and again, this led into the knockdown, was he's not really using proper angles when he tries to enter. And when he came in on kind of a straight line, he got cracked. And he's not really been able to kind of induce Garcia into being a bit sloppier on offense. Some of the stuff that he was doing earlier that was working as far as setting up his counters is not quite working the same anymore. And I mean, Colbert could still mathematically win a decision here. We're only into the 9th. But he's got to not only win every other round remaining, he's probably got to score at least 110-8, if not 2. And if he drops this round, he is going to need a stoppage. So for the record, after 8, it would be 77 to 74 for Garcia.
Somebody asked again if Victor Postal lost. Yes, he lost at 2 minutes 31 seconds via TKO. It was a referee stoppage in the 10th round.
10th, not a title fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, bad stoppage, but he was probably going to lose that one anyway. He was behind on the scorecards. But, he probably overperformed relative to expectations. So, God bless the old warhorse still out there doing it.
All right, as we get back in here, we're at 1 minute and 30 seconds of round 9 of 12. And did you see that, though? So Garcia landed on the nose some soft punches, and even at that, Colbert got a little jiggly-legged.
Yeah, his confidence. I think as much as he was physically rattled by that punch that dropped him, I think it dealt a serious blow to his confidence. And if you're a front runner and a confident fighter like Colbert is, once that gets rattled, if you've never had it happen to you before and it starts happening on the biggest stage, suddenly your eyes get big and you lose composure in a hurry.
I feel legitimately bad for Colbert. I mean, he was going into a title fight here, and now that is slipping through his fingers.
Yeah, he is probably gonna lose this fight if things keep going this way. I mean, Garcia's almost outlanded him 2-1 in headshots alone, and Colbert's lack of body work means that I think if we were to look at the total punch counts, Garcia is way ahead.
Yeah. I want to say the last stat they threw up, Colbert had landed like 0 of 11 of whatever it was they were showing at the time.
Yeah, and Garcia now backing Colbert into the ropes and into the corner. And all those clubbing strikes that are still being blocked I think they're starting to wear on the arms of Colbert. His punches are coming a lot slower.
We had a question here on our Facebook, one of our Facebook pages. We have 3 of them for this. Does Colbert have a chance to win if he doesn't get the KO? What do you think, Robert?
A chance? He needs at least 2 knockdowns. And as we come to the end of the 9th, I tend to think at this point he does need the knockout. Like right. He probably needs a stoppage. I think he dropped the 9th. He came alive towards the end of it, but I still think that last round was a round for Garcia. So,
all right. So where we're standing right now as we go into round 10, Garcia is up on points with a fair enough margin that if he brings us to a decision, he should win comfortably.
Yeah,
unless we have Canelo cards or Clucky.
Personally, I'm 87-83 Garcia now. So
yeah, 87-83 sounds about right to me.
That's where I am. You might have. It could be not. I wouldn't be shocked at 98 to what would that be?
All right, round 10.
Sorry, my math is off because of the point deduction. Yeah, Colbert needs a knockout at this point. I think he's past the point of numerically being able to win a decision.
That's got to be a real blow to your confidence, don't you think?
One would assume, especially if you're a very confident fighter. And again, one of the things Colbert has in spades is confidence, his presentation.
All right, we have a firefight here in the middle of the ring, and now Colbert knows he's got to win this by knockout.
Yeah.
He just muscled Garcia into the ropes, and the ref said, "Knock that nonsense off."
You know, give credit to Colbert. At least he knows what he needs to do in that particular respect. The number of times you and I have seen fighters come out, know they're down, and just kind of, you know what, I'm going to keep doing what I was doing, and then act pissy about the decision.
What was
get a
that?
lot of those.
What was that? 89, 83 that I just saw.
Might be left to be lower than 83.
Let me see what that took Scott. I'm in the wrong article. That's the problem.
That would do it.
All right.
Okay. Farhood has it 80. Farhood has it 89 to 81.
Okay. Yeah, Garcia's got a very comfortable lead here. I mean, I wouldn't
again, for whatever value you want to give Farhood, but yeah, Colbert needs a finish.
I would not necessarily tell him to coast to victory, but it seems like he's got this one pretty much wrapped up.
You don't have. He's now past the point where he needs to do anything dramatic, but you just keep doing what you're doing, and it's working for you. He got left there from Garcia, and he's got Colbert backed into the corner again.
Yeah, and there he is, opening up on him.
He's not finding much success, but Colbert's not really making him pay for these flurries, and that stuff just adds up.
So at the end of that combination, he tied up because he assumed that Colbert was going to return fire, and he caught him, caught him before he did. But Colbert didn't put up much of a fight in the clinch either, which tells me he's fatigued.
I think the clinch we saw it earlier in the fight. The first time they actually started clinching, that favored Garcia pretty heavily. I think he has a physical strength advantage. Colbert is, he is not doing well, man, as this 10th round draws to a close. I mean, yeah, Colbert looks like he doesn't want to be here anymore. You can see him trying to get his
what a frustration
mentality
that is.
Back.
You're slated for a legitimate title fight against somebody, and then he gets called off, injury, illness,
mysterious virus of unknown origin.
Right, and then so they put you in there with a guy, and it's like, okay, you just need to win this fight, and you're right back to where you need to be, and then he loses. This is part
of the reason you don't see short notice fights in boxing that often.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be candid, guys don't want to give up on their potential title shots. To say nothing of the guys stepping in on short notice who tend to risk getting badly tuned up and losing more than that.
Okay, well, I want to talk to everyone here who's listening on our History of Boxing Facebook page, W2M Facebook page, Twitch, Radulich and Broadcasting, Facebook, and YouTube. I want to say thank you for tuning in and joining us. We do one of these usually every either Friday or Saturday night. I tend to not be able to do the ones in the afternoon because they're always on days I have to work. So we thank you. And if you have comments, if you've got some things you want to share with us, we're more than happy to address them. Sometimes I put them up on the board. Sometimes I just read them out. But we're always happy to engage with friends here on social media.
Anything other than a long string of profanity, you will be addressed.
Or a Bible verse. No Bible verses. Keep that lovely stuff to yourself. And true story, by the way. Anyway, so we're back to the fight here.
There's always somebody.
We are 30 seconds into round 11 of 12.
So I believe my scorecard at the moment reads 107 to 101 for Garcia.
Right. Garcia continuing with a very comfortable lead here on the scorecards.
Who is still pressing forward, and Colbert is not able to make his movement amount to much of anything. Yeah, Colbert's not great under fire the longer this has gone on. I mean, he's done a decent job anytime they actually get into the pocket, but some of the stuff at distance, Colbert tends to pull back with his chin still available to be hit. And
We are
Garcia's
in
found him a couple of times.
Once again, we are in 11 of 12. We don't quite have a winner just yet, but as we've been saying for quite some time now, for those of you just joining us, Garcia has a comfortable lead on the scorecards. He has at least one knockdown in the middle of the fight, and Colbert is having all kinds of difficulty trying to make something happen here. Garcia has been, if nothing else, consistent in this fight.
Yeah, he has been a model of just swinging the axe at the tree, man. He's just here and he's still doing what he's doing, and he has, through persistence, made it work for him, and good on him.
Our friends have left you a message on the on Facebook. On the
Oh,
screen.
which ones?
No, on the screen. Moving on.
Interesting that you would choose that particular verse to reference that, given what it says, but
anyway, Garcia stalking Colbert now as we get into the last minute of round 11.
I might have gotten off on my count at one point, because I think I'm going to be 107, 101 at the end of this round.
Okay, if there's 30 seconds left of this round and Colbert is standing there in the ring going, "Come on," and Colbert just looked at him from across the way.
And Garcia he's stalking him down. I don't know what Colbert's trying to accomplish here. Like, you don't want the firefight. The guy's still coming at you, so he's not sitting back on his lead in the way that you might be trying to induce a brawl because he's protecting it. I really don't know what Colbert's on about here with some of these antics. Unless he's trying to protect the brand.
All right, that is the end of round 11, and I think that's another one to Garcia.
Yeah, without a whole lot of controversy there. So, yeah, after that round, I'm 117, 101.
Oof.
I believe would be how the math on that works out. And we're going into the final round, and Colbert needs a miracle.
Yeah, Colbert needs a knockout, really.
Yeah, he needs a stoppage. And at this point, Colbert's, we mentioned it earlier that Garcia's punching power for a long time didn't trouble Colbert till he was able to catch him with one that he didn't see coming.
Right. Real quick.
Myself on the back just a little bit there.
Very good, Robert. March 19th, Stuart Lang is jumping into the alternative commentary booth with me because, boy, do we like crazy heavyweight fights. So if we can find this Thor versus Eddie fight somewhere, we will be calling it. But in the meantime, a very serious
I wish you
fight.
the best of luck.
I understand. Dan Lasby and I will be doing the Edward Berlanga versus Steve Rolls fight on ESPN. And we are in round 12, and Garcia is opening fire once again.
Yeah,
workmanship like pace here for Garcia.
One of the things that's important when you get a lead like this, some people try to protect it too much and they stop doing all the things that made them successful. You still have to do all the things that got you to that point. You just have to be a little bit more measured in your risk assessment, but you don't stop fighting entirely. You keep doing all the things that got you the big lead you have, and that's what Garcia is doing thus far here. He's still chipping away. He's still getting in Colbert's face. He's still making him punch at him. They're still clinching up, and he's still wearing on him. All the things that have brought him all the success, he is still employing, rather than trying to just dance around and not and overly protect a lead. If you start deviating from a successful game plan, that's when things can go wonky.
We are down to less than 2 minutes, and you said it before, Colbert needs a miracle. What he needs to do is, okay, at this point, you have expended the time you have for dancing.
Yeah. Yeah, he cannot afford to do this.
Where was this fleet of foot and jumping, skipping around at the beginning of the fight where it would have made sense to do it?
When you could have avoided all those times you were pushed into the ropes or into the corner and then bombed on despite having your guard up.
See, I hate fights like this where they fight all backwards. You start off this way where you have time to work, not get to the end of the fight and go, all right, now is my time. No, that should have been 10, 11 rounds ago. Yeah, and Garcia's like, are we going to fight? Or are you going to, you're going to skip around the periwinkles?
Yeah, which is kind of smart by Garcia. He's still indicating that he's in the fight.
Mm-hmm. Garcia, we talked about gas tanks. We said, is Colbert just going to wear him out? Garcia looks fresh. Like, I don't really see a lot. He looked a little tired.
Yeah, he definitely got a bit winded at one point, but
right.
The knockdown that he scored seems to have helped him find his second wind about a round and a half earlier than you might normally find it.
Also, Colbert's not putting any pressure on him.
I think that's the big thing. When Colbert was doing the guard up, walk forward, make you punch, make you work, that was getting to him. Now that he's not forcing him to do anything, Garcia's can fight at this pace even when he's tired pretty comfortably, it seems.
So we have one of our friends here is like, don't knock Garcia. We're not. Garcia won this fight comfortably, and I'm here for it. At this point, who I'm knocking is Colbert, who went into this whole fight ass backwards and just let his opportunity slip right through his fingers.
Yeah, he really threw some very, very questionable decision making. And then that knockdown, man, that really seems to have broken his spirit more than anything else. But you do see at this point, again, as the last round was winding down, like what Colbert should have been doing in the second and third in terms of moving and making Garcia miss and whatnot. And instead, he chose not to, and he's going to lose this fight because of it.
All right. Well, we are about ready to catch the scores here for this. We hope you've, if you've never watched this before and you found this and we're like, hey, I'll see what these two people are all about. We're here, like I said, almost every weekend doing something, either MMA or wrestling or boxing. And we'll be back again Friday and Saturday night for the ESPN fight and then the UFC as they take the gloves off and we get ready to hear the scores.
So, what are the odds that Clucky strikes? Just throwing it out there.
I got I got distracted doing the work of doing this podcast to make that joke, but I was like, all right, so clearly, as we see, Garcia, who put in just a workman-like repetition, he really put the pressure on Colbert. So I'm thinking 120-0 Canelo.
So for the record, I'm like 117-100, I think.
Okay.
Somewhere in that range.
Hey, speaking of which, did you see they announced Canelo versus Dimitri Bivol for May 7th?
Yeah, I saw that. That's an interesting one. I still like Canelo, but the size disparity, and Bivol has a great jab that could easily give Canelo a lot of problems.
We have a new fan of our podcast here, so I put it in the comments, but also I'll acknowledge it on the air. Thank you. If you are just now learning about us and you're gonna put a follow in, we certainly appreciate you.
We really do. So us on Facebook, follow us on Twitch. Follows are free on Twitch, and they help us out tremendously.
Indeed.
We have a YouTube channel you can subscribe to if you'd like to stay up to date on all the stuff we do. It all helps. So we thank you very, very much for that.
All the Radulich. We're still waiting on an announcement for the winner, so hold tight. We'll get you in just a second if you're waiting for us to announce it.
An extra $5,000 is being passed out to each judge as we speak here. That's what we're waiting for. Waiting for the cash to come
Your
up.
winner of this fight between Colbert and Garcia is Josh Taylor.
Josh Taylor with an honorable mention to Canelo. He would have been my second choice. Because boxing. Let me take the temperature. I haven't checked Twitter since we've been doing this. So let me take the temperature of the old social media and see what people are thinking.
Yeah, Garcia wins. All right. All right. So officially, he won by unanimous decision. Hector Garcia. So good on him.
Good. They got it right. Do we have the? Hang on. Let me see if we can get the scores. Hang on. Because I'm a hair behind you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking to see. Bad
hang
left.
on.
I keep going to bad.
Hang on. Uh, 2 118s to 109.
Okay.
1 118, 1 117 to 108. Oh yeah, it would have been 108. Don't know why I.
All right.
I got the math wrong on that so badly, but I did. So my mistake there.
All right. So next up is Robert Gutierrez now against Hector Garcia whenever they decide to make that fight. So just once again, going over the calendar real quick. Friday, March 4th. When you're done seeing the Batman, come hang out with us on ESPN for Jose Ramirez versus Jose Pedraza. That'll be myself and Dan Lasby, my other boxing buddy. Saturday night is Covington versus Masvidal in the UFC. We're covering that. We're going to skip a week. Myself and Stuart Lang, because we love heavyweights. We're going to cover the Thor versus Eddie fight in the middle of the day. And then in the evening, serious business. We're back on ESPN for Edward Berlanga versus Steve Rolls. And then the week after that, what happened here? Jesus Christ, my calendar is all over the place. Okay.
Just a bit.
All right. And then there's nothing the following week that I will be around for. And then we're into, we'll be taking a week off because we got WrestleMania coming up. I will be covering, allegedly, the Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor on Friday night, April 1st with Bill Yankovic.
Why would you do that to yourself, Mark?
With Bill Yankovic of That Wrestling Show. And then we will be doing NXT Stand and Deliver in the middle of the day, and then WrestleMania Night 1, and then WrestleMania Night 2 in terms of live coverage. April is a stacked, after we get through WrestleMania, though, it's a stacked month of boxing. We will be covering the Spence Ugas fight. That'll be myself and Dan Lasby.
They had Ugas on the analyst desk at one point between fights to try and hype that up.
Presumably, if not Dan Lasby, myself, then Robert Winfree and I, definitely somebody in me, will be covering Tyson Fury versus Dillian White. That's taking place over in London, and then
depending on the time of day, and if I have something else, as long as I don't have anything else that's kind of interfering with that, I'm potentially perfectly willing to watch Tyson Fury beat the brakes off of that guy.
Really injured Dillian White's shoulder. And then finally,
White has, I don't want to say White has no shot, but he's about as close to a no-hoper in that scenario. I mean, Dillian White's a good enough heavyweight boxer. I don't mean to disparage him in that respect, but we're talking about him against Tyson Fury in particular. And if Deontay Wilder's power punches can't put Tyson Fury down to end it, White's can't, and White's not nearly the technical boxer that Fury is. So,
right. And then finally, for the month of April, the Oscar Valdez versus Shakur Stevenson fight. That's going to be on ESPN. And that'll be me and Dan Lasby once again. That's our boxing stuff for right now. This week, leading into Batman, we have a whole bunch of Batman shows that we are re-airing. Today, up in the archives right now is Robert's discussion of the Batman Rogues Gallery on his old Everyone Loves a Bad Guy podcast. Tomorrow, we're re-airing our coverage.
Particular episode is 8 years old at this point?
Roughly, yes. We'll be doing our review of Batman Hush. We will be airing a review of Batman White Knight. Then a review of the 2 Tim Burton movies, then the Dark Knight trilogy from Chris Nolan, then the animated Dark Knight Returns movies, and then finally on March 4th, the day the Batman actually comes out, we will have our review of the first volume of Batman the Animated Series. And then some other comics and other Batman things that we did, some stuff we did for the Joker the following week. So we got a lot of stuff coming up.
Mark is desperate for synergy.
Indeed. So yeah, man, check it out. If you've like the boxing stuff, you want to see what other movies and TV and comics and heavy metal albums that we've reviewed, check out our archive. As Robert said, please like and subscribe. It helps us out tremendously, and then you'll get all the notices when all of our stuff drops. Robert, go ahead and do your plugs, and we'll get out of here.
All right. I cover professional wrestling a few nights a week over at 411mania.com. AEW's Dark Elevation on Monday. MLW's thing on Thursday, whatever they happen to be releasing, and WWE SmackDown on Friday. This last one was a chore. It was saved entirely by the main event contract signing between Roman and Brock when Roman went a little bit nuts. Was nice to see, actually. He's got the Godfather intimidation thing down pat. So watching him go just a little bit crazy, I kind of dug it. I definitely enjoyed that.
All right.
The rest of the show was skippable. I also cover mixed martial arts action. So before we got around to this one, I had covered the UFC event that took place. It was UFC on ESPN plus 59 or 69. I want to say 59. Or was it 60? Might have been actually 60. Also known as UFC Vegas 49. Sorry, the UFC has like 8 different naming schemes they could believably use, and they never are consistent. It was Fight Night 202 if you want to go by that metric. So enjoy. Headlined by Islam Makhachev and Bobby Green. So if you're interested in that, you can find my full report in the MMA zone of 411mania.com. Mark mentioned I'll be covering UFC 272 next Saturday, headlined by Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington in a fairly significant grudge match that will result in 2.5 rounds of wrestling from Covington and then just not a lot after that. And again, co-main event of Rafael dos Anjos and Rafael Fiziev, so that's a pretty good fight as well. If you want an in-depth breakdown of all the things that happened in the world of mixed martial arts and a preview of the upcoming week, I host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. I record it late Sunday evenings. It goes live Monday, so you can start your week the right way if you're so inclined. You can find that wherever you listen to podcasts, and just to punch it in, you can find me, and you can listen to me talking about mixed martial arts. So if you enjoyed my insight to the extent that I have any in boxing, you can listen to my insight in MMA to the extent that I have any. And I deeply appreciate any and all of that you're able to do, if any of that strikes your fancy. And Mark mentioned I also am the co-host of Damn You Hollywood. So whenever we talk movies, I'm there, and you can listen to us talk film. We reviewed the Uncharted adaptation last week, and boy, what a turkey that movie is.
And it made Robert sad.
A
week from this Tuesday, if you've enjoyed the little repartee between myself and Mr. Robert Winfree, we can usually find us every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock reviewing whatever the new movie of the week is. This week we have off because I don't have time to go see Studio 666, quite frankly. So we'll be back for The Batman.
As opposed to the other Batman.
Yes, as opposed to Batman, The Dark Knight, etc., etc. All right, folks.
I'm really sad that we haven't gotten a Man-Bat movie.
Great. All right, folks. That's all for me. I'm driving. For Robert Winfree, I'm Mark Radulich. Be well, be safe, and behave.